Welcome back to another reading and correcting with me, Kindar, the Tiger Writes, and Ty, the Tiger Supervisor. These are where I read a chapter from one of my stories and correct it as I go. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking to support me, that is on my Patreon. Today we are starting a new book. We're doing chapter 1 of book 2 in the Jeremy series. It does not have a title yet, nor does it have a something that I can pass off as its own cover, because I'm lazy and I don't have money. So, alrighty. Welcome to all the listeners out there. We at Spreading Branch are happy to have you again and hope that you are safe with and we are happy. We at Spreading Branch are happy to have you again and hope that you are safe and with people you care about. I am Julian, and today I have the privilege of having someone who matters to many of you out there. I interviewed his heart a few months ago, and now I have with me the man many of you have been asking about. Welcome, technician Jeremy Bradshaw. Let me start with the important question. How are you doing? He laughed. He couldn't help it. That hadn't been mentioned as part of the subject that would be covered. He didn't mind. He was just surprised. I'm good, he finally said through softening chuckles. It's taking time, but I've been good for a while now. I'm glad to hear that. I know our listeners are glad to hear that as well. You are often you are often who they ask about when they contact us. Yeah, that kind of works. Now that we can't provide them with as much information as we used to. He chuckled again. I'm sorry about that, but I like keeping some of my privacy. And being on so many people's mind like this isn't something I'm really used to. Really? As one of the younger antimatter researchers taken under renowned physicist Dr. Armand Manuel, and with 3 antimatter reactors designed to your name, I think you would be at least acquainted with people talking about you. Within research circles, sure, but this is different. And to be honest, I don't really get it. I mean, I understand that falling in love with a man of a different species, being imprisoned because of it, rescued by my heart, kidnapped, tortured, made to feel he's the most horrible person in the galaxy, and overcoming that makes for a story that people want to hear about. But for them to care, to wish me to get better, that's got to be emphasized. Wished for me to get better, and I do believe you when you say they want that. It's just that the idea I'm an actual person to them, it's intimidating. Would you rather we never have told them about you? No, I'm glad you did. I'm glad people who found their way to escape the suffering. I'm glad people who found their way to escape their suffering, but did so in solitude, can know that they aren't alone and that I won't just fold and give into what the Earth government wants. What they did to them, the way so many people are denied the opportunity to find the person who's right for them just because they happen to be the same gender, it's wrong. If I had the power to change their mind, I would, but all I can do is stand up to them, so I will. And we are all glad that a warrior like you does. He chuckled. You've heard about my that nickname, haven't you? Haven't you? It's my understanding you have earned it. I think there's been some exaggeration involved. Really? So you did not step into a room with a reactor in the process of spiraling out of control? How? Alex, Gralgiran sounded agitated, and Jeremy looked up from the power report the engineer had him going through. I need you in the hangar now. These idiots have done something to their reactor, and I need you there before it blows up. The horrified expression on the engineer's face told Jeremy where this was going, so he took off. Technician, where are you going? The engineer yelled. To keep you from gutting your friend, he didn't bother replying, running down the stairs and grabbing the first tool bag he found. I'll bring it back, he told the technician. It's an emergency. Coming through, he yelled to get people to move out of his way. As wide as the howls were, he didn't have time to waste running around everyone. He was confident Gralgiran wouldn't have wanted the engineer on the pirate ship if there wasn't the time to convince their friend this was more important than his desire to never step off of the ship again. But he also knew, you know what? Step off instead of the ship. Step up the Bane. Actually, this is the first time in this book, the Viper's Bane. So let's use the full name. Let's introduce the ship. Convince his friend this was more important than his desire to never step off the Viper's Bane again, but he also knew that when it came to antimatter reactor, having more time was better than having less. The lift was agonizingly slow, and his pacing caused the Kelsirians in it with him to watch in curiosity. He was known on the ship, he was the lone human among them, and the captain's heart, so they had all heard of him, and many had seen him, but he wasn't usually in a rush, or wishing someone would speed this cursed thing he squeezed through the opening gap as soon as he fit and ran. As with any of the previous times he'd been in the hangar, it was hectic, with mechanical working on the shuttle, and hunters moving about, ready to be sent to the front line if they were needed, which one pack would now. His heart would not send his friend, his engineer, without a pack to protect him. Which shuttle is going to the pirate ship? He called to the technician, pulling a refueling line. She pointed to the one closest to the outside access. The one with the angry-looking Kelsirian, with his arms crossed over his chest, golden eyes narrowed in his direction. So much getting so much with so much for. Getting this done without this little argument. Can we do this once I'm back? He asked, still running for the shuttle's access, but the hand around his arm stopped him from moving. Gralgiran had mass over him, as well as years of experience holding someone, so they couldn't escape. What do you think you're doing? Wishing I didn't have to have this argument when there's a reactor about to blow up? Jer, you can't. Who the fuck's going to go? I have an engineer who has promised to gut you if you ever did this again after Bob's derelict. His out ground his teeth. You aren't trained. And Alex is? Put whatever pack was going to keep him safe with me. Gral, we don't have time. The pain, the fear in his heart's eyes was visible for a second. Jeremy understood it. Only a few weeks back together, he too was terrified this would separate them permanently. But they had hunters on the ship we needed protecting, and he was the only one qualified, willing to go. It went away, replaced by resolve. Beta, Asrani Durik, Miatoran, your pack is with my heart. Treat him as your beta when it comes to dealing with the reactor. Gralgiran now with his eyes at Jeremy. Otherwise, you do what she says. Is that clear? Yes, Alpha, he replied with enthusiasm, then ran to the shuttle. How did I know you plunged your hand in an overloading reactor to keep Einstein research station from being destroyed? Julian asked with a chuckle. I'm afraid that act of heroism is a poorly kept secret. Einstein, right. It wasn't like she could know about the pirate ship they dealt with only days ago. Did you think it was a secret? She asked, sounding concerned. No, I'm sorry. I'm just surprised that me doing the work I'm tasked to do is taken as heroism. It wasn't even a lie. He'd just done what was needed. I think many people within your field would argue that nearly killing yourself in the process of depowering a reactor goes well beyond your job description. How did she know? Go! He yelled at the hunter by the small engineering section's door. Further into the ship, someone was screaming in pain, and it didn't sound like a Taornian, Kelsirian, and definitely not a Shimbarian, which meant one of theirs was hurt. My orders are to keep you safe. Jeremy pulled himself out from within the reactor. I'm fine. I'm almost done here. He grabbed the tool. Then as soon as you're supposed to listen to me when it comes to the reactor, you are a fucking distraction. You are fucking distracting right now. Go. Go rescue them. The gratitude flashed and the hunter was gone. Jeremy returned under the reactor. Whoever the idiots who had done these modifications was, Jeremy had better never encountering them. I'd never better encounter them. Jeremy had better. Oh, this is clunky. Jeremy better never encounter them. He disconnected it might be Radoshi power coupler from the definitely human design capacitor, then grabbed he had no idea which species had designed that, but his check of it told it acted as a power dampener, and that was what he needed right now. Keep the ship alive, but make it impossible for the reactor to output enough power for it to blow up. And as a nice aside, make it impossible for the engine to reach any kind of speed that would give them a chance to escape. He pulled himself out, pleased with the result, to the sound of combat boots heading in his direction. I told you I'd be fine, he called, but instead of a Kelsirian entering, it was a Tahornian, with another behind and a larger shape behind that one. It moved first, and Jeremy barely brought his arm up in time to block, then punch in the stomach before he even thought to fight back. He gritted his teeth at the scale hand, which tightened on his forearm painfully, and kneed the Tahornian in the stomach, then punched him across the face. He threw himself away from the other and hit the wall painfully. The room was too small, and all his training had been on mats, and with Kelsirian's love of wide spaces, he always had the room to move when he trained. He blocked, dodged, had trouble breathing from the punch, and managed to land his own across the Tahornian's face. Hard enough, he was confident he heard bone break. Then the large form entering the room caught his attention. Massive chest, 2 long arms, 2 short legs, gray skin where the uniform was ripped. He cursed. A Shimbarian. Then something hit him in the head, and he was unconscious. Technician? Julian asked, and he forced a chuckle for the second he needed to pull himself back to the present. That's definitely an exaggeration. I only suffered my radiation burn on my arm. Half a day in the infirmary, a few days taking it easy, and I was good as new. So in her eyes, she picked up something else had happened. Still, I think I can confidently say that you are in the minority who would have run toward the danger instead of away from it. Not if you compare me to others within the antimatter field research. Also, antimatter research field. I'm confident in saying, I don't need this. I'm confident in saying, that those who'd run away from the problem would be in the minority. I suspect that unless the situation happens, we will be left to speculate about how special your actions were. She smiled, and he thought she meant she meant to be reassurance she wouldn't push. How was it being the lone human on a Kelsirian ship? Until I was kidnapped, it was actually fun. There were issues. I knew about how my sickness was nothing more than an excuse to keep me monitored, about how ultrasonics were used to reinforce the physical discomfort anytime I felt attracted to a man. But it doesn't mean the problem immediately went away. But I had the work and made friends, plural, to keep me from burying myself in it. And my heart, who is the most understanding man I've ever met, I don't know if I'd have the patience he showed me through all of that. You are his heart was also something of a pain at times. Cultural differences on top of remnants of what had been done to me. And after they took you, I was waking up. Waking? He groaned. The pain on the side of his head was really annoying. The voices around him wouldn't resolve into something he understood. Concussion? Fuck, he hoped medical would be able to see to that. He did not look forward to a screwed up language center. He didn't make out what he thought was panic in one of the voice. And he realized he was alive. That was good, but why? Pirates weren't known to keep prisoners unless it was for labor. Maybe Turnians ate living flesh? He hoped not, and he really needed to get into learning about other Federation species, so thoughts like that couldn't terrify him. Someone grabbed the front of his shirt and sat him. Jeremy tried to bat the hand away, but both were behind his back, tied together. He opened his eyes, and darkness remained. Now that he paid attention, there was something over his head. The one before him said something, and of course Jeremy couldn't understand them. They were speaking whatever language the Hornian or Shimbarian spoke, not English. Kelsirians or Federalese. There was the sense of a question in what they said. Well, if that's him, a woman replied in English, you better space him. The one before him replied while Jeremy got over the surprise of hearing English, and not accented like he'd heard other species before. Speak it. Because of the difference in voice box and mouth shape. This was proper, well-enunciated English. If you think they're going to pay you anything for him, you're in for a surprise. Those people would rather shoot anything that isn't exactly like them than do business with them. I swear, if they could crack cloning, Earth would all be one singular people, the way they keep lying about us already being. Who are you? He asked and regretted it. His mouth hurt. No one you need to worry about. Now, what did you do to this? Made sure you weren't going to blow us up? What is he talking about? No one said anything about there being a risk of... The explosion sounded close. As it ebbed, the fighting was audible. The one before him gave orders as he stood and moved away. Jeremy flexed his hand and the glove responded. Was he ever glad he hadn't taken to clawed fighting the way his instructor had hoped? The fighting moved inside engineering, and he contorted his wrist until he was able to touch his binding. He didn't know what they'd use, but his claws were metal, not sharpened keratin, and he felt the indentation they made. The fighting was tapering down by the time he cut himself free and pulled the hood off and cursed at the form before him, slashing, only for his hand to be caught by the Kelsirian. Fuck, you scared me. He looked. The hunter looked at the clawed hand and smiled. You reacted well, then. What is the danger to the ship? He forced his annoyance down. He'd had a job to do. There aren't any. The reactor can only provide enough power to keep life support going and maybe get them to crawl away if they try that. Report that the Alpha's little warrior was successful in this part of the hunt. He called, do not mention how we found him. For a civilian, he performed admirably. Jeremy narrowed his eyes. He might have just been insulted. Oh, after the torture. That was bad. If you've ever seen Elizier's Descent, imagine that and make it worse. At least what he remembered of the horror movie Lucy had talked them into seeing matched how his life had felt in the early days of the programming. But they all helped me. It was excruciating slow, but I made it through and returned to where I belong. She chuckled. That's an odd way of saying it. It's just something someone told me once. I think it was my mother. Speaking of your mother, how do you feel about what your parents allowed to happen to you? Made happen, you think? He replied without heat. I'm not angry at them anymore. If I feel anything, it's disappointment. I guess I wish they'd been better. The heroes a kid needs. That they'd been able to overcome decades of government lies and understood there was nothing wrong with me, with any of us. That we are That we are how God's made us? If you believe that, yes. I know every species in the Federation has that belief, but I don't. Not even after living among them for almost a year now. Is that how long it's been? But while I respect that's how Kelsirians view the world, I haven't seen any evidence of any higher power intervening in our lives. I'm an engineer by training. I believe in what I can document. I believe in the evidence I find. I believe that me and Growl were lucky to find each other, that your listeners, wherever they are, were lucky to escape Earth government's persecution. That's a possessive. I don't begrudge anyone else's view on how it happened, but that is what I believe. Thank you, Technician Jeremy Bradshaw. I am Julian, and to everyone out there, remember that the spreading branch is always there for you, no matter which leaves fall. And we're done, an unseen man said, then fuzzed into view as he stepped next to Julian. Again, you have my thanks for agreeing to this, Technician Jeremy Bradshaw. I'm glad I did, Thomas. Please call me Tom. Jeremy chuckled. You're going to have happy with Thomas, and only because you refuse to give me your last name. It's safer that way. All of us have people back in human space. If the government was able to work out who we were, I don't want to think what they do to them to get to us. Then the name of fake? No, we pride ourselves on providing reporting as honesty. No, we pride ourselves on providing reporting as honest as we can, and that starts with being as honest as we can about. Okay, you know what? Being honest about who we are. We simply can't afford to be entirely honest about it. But instead of lying about our family name, we simply don't use it. Them. You look concerned. If you don't mind me asking, are you okay? You look like you weren't entirely there a time or two. Yeah, sorry. I was on a mission a few days ago, a hunt, and we just lost audio. Thomas called to someone unseen. Are we already moving out of field? Right. Hunts weren't things to be discussed. Someone on his side had caught that and preventing them from hearing. It's okay, he said to the darkness. I won't talk about it. Sorry for this slip. Oh, you're back. Not sure what happened there. It was on my side. Yes, I'm fine. Something has happened, but I'm not at liberty to talk about it. The two exchanged a look, and Jeremy thought they might press. I guess that's as good a thing to officially end the. I guess that's as good of a thing to officially then end this on. Thomas said. Thanks again for agreeing to this. Let your heart know that if he ever wants to add information to what's already available, we'll be happy to listen. They vanished before he could ask what that might have been about. Connection terminated. No trace of infiltration. Systems are clear to be reconnected to the ship. The light slowly came up, revealing the pack busying themselves at their station doing whatever covert operation pack did when someone was interviewed by a secret human broadcast station. There was an efficiency in the work that made Jeremy think this wasn't the first time they did this. Was contacting hidden people that much a part of the Viper's Bane work? You know what? I've already said the full name. I don't need it here. The Bane's work in patrolling the edge of disputed space between human and Kelsirian? Are you well, technician? The Beta asked. She looked concerned. I'm fine, Beta Zorfiel Frasgor Milan. I was just sent remembering what happened unexpectedly. It was your first hunt. You should see a counselor and discuss it with them. He pushed himself out of the chair's bowl. I'll be fine. It wasn't that. She stepped before him. If you were a hunter, speaking with one would be mandatory. To live, so we can defend our people means ensuring no hunt remains with us so much it interferes with our living. Think of your heart. Don't put this burden on him. Her seriousness felt out of proportion, but she was right. Gralgiran shouldn't have to be the one to eventually force him to see Leah over this. Thanks. I'll make sure I speak with one of them. She smiled. You performed well, Technician Jeremy Bradshaw. Be proud of your action. Do not hold your misstep with more weight than they deserve. You do not have our training. Do not hold yourself to our standard. Thank you. That actually sounded like a compliment, with a warning mixed in. And that conclude Chapter 1 of Book 2 of Jeremy's series. I hope you are enjoying this. If you are, please leave a like and ring. If you want to know when the next chapter will be up, subscribe and hit the bell. If you want to if you want to read this story, it is available on Ream Story. If you want to listen to these live, it's every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on Twitch and YouTube. And if you are looking... Wait, no, that's it. Notes are in the notes. I'm off this morning. Links are in the notes. And with that, I shall wish you a good day.